This is your daily dose of all things royal. Welcome back, my gorgeous, good looking friends. What is wrong with this couple? Every week, they are on every single front page of the tabloids. This week, Star Magazine, Meghan's go to, now has this story popping up. Could it be because Catherine is on the better tabloid magazine of Us Weekly this week? Then, not to mention, Prince William also is taking some of the spotlight. So, of course, Meghan's face has to be everywhere. But, why? This is just so pathetic and sad. I want to share this article with you because it is coming from the Sussex camp. They're making it sound like, oh, how did everything go so wrong? What? All right, let's get into it. The article begins. Prince Harry was living the California dream. In an October 16th Instagram video, the 40-year-old stood atop a surfboard at champion athlete Kelly Slater's surf ranch in Lemoore, California. The inland facility, which also offers guests luxury accommodations and farm-to-table cuisine and costs from $5,000, why does that sound so familiar? Like I've heard this before.
Dish reminded me of the kind of food that I grew up eating in California, like that real sort of farm-to-table, fresh, really.
Yep, I knew I heard that before. So there's a high possibility that this did come from Meghan herself. And as you listen to the rest of this article, you can see how she's positioning herself to be the one who's really not at fault here and making Harry look useless. Offers guests luxury accommodations and farm to table cuisine and costs from $5,000 was reportedly a birthday gift from wife Meghan Markle. But while Harry's form was good, many reactions were not. One online commentator branded the conservation activist Prince environmentally tone deaf in water strapped California. Yet another lamented, once again, they're out of touch with reality and the public. Yeah, I'm pretty much convinced that Meghan is behind this because only someone like Meghan, who's new money rich, would have to be telling everybody how much things cost. So, this doesn't surprise me one bit. But, it's kind of sick that she has to put her face in the media almost daily now because they have nothing else left to offer. And with these tabloids, this is all she has. It's pretty sad. But anyhow, it was another Sussex wobble. 5 years ago, support for Harry and his American bride was high. More than 1.9 billion people had watched their 2018 wedding, and the public cheered the birth of their first child, Archie. A year later, daughter Little Betty came along in 2021. Their decision to step back as senior royals and move to America to protect themselves and their young family from the hidebound monarchy garnered them worldwide sympathy. But in the years since, filled with botched deals, tell all books, and scathing interviews about the royal family, that support has waned, leaving some wondering what went wrong. Harry and Meghan seem to have unrealistic goals from the beginning, an insider tells Star. They believe they could have the best of both worlds. At this point, you gotta wonder, is Meghan just doing this to be an asshole and gaslight the whole world? How can you sit there and pretend you don't know what went wrong? So now you're starting to see the blame being shifted over onto others in a sense, right? It says, but in the years filled with botched deals, I don't think that they got the raw end of the stick. The actual people that signed with them got the raw end of the stick, and they made out with more money than they should have been given for the crap that they put out. These two are going to continue to keep doubling down on their truth, otherwise known as lies to the rest of the world, because they truly do think that over the course of time, it will become the truth if they continue to keep telling the lie enough. And, this is what the Nazis did. And, it was highly effective. But continuing on, it says, rebellious move. In November 2019, amid growing scrutiny and attacks on Meghan in the UK press and worsening private tensions within the royal family, the Sussexes began a 6-week break in Canada where they hoped to regroup. It was the beginning of the end of their working and personal relationships with his family, including the late Queen Elizabeth II, King Charles III, Prince William, and Princess Kate. So now definitely she wrote this. In that first year, they moved to Meghan's native California and bought a $14.65 million home in the celebrity enclave of Montecito, a $20 million deal with Spotify, and a $100 million Netflix deal followed. Harry didn't look backward, says the source. From the start, he and Meghan traded on their royal connections to earn their keep. Their bombshell 2021 CBS interview teased claims the palace was harboring a royal racist and that Kate had made Meghan cry in the run up to her wedding. Unflattering royal anecdotes made his 2023 tell all memoir Spare a bestseller. Harry seemed to give no thought to the consequences of their actions, says the insider. In 2022, he admitted, I've lost a few friends in the process. Meghan also had trouble keeping friends, dumping one-time bestie Jessica Mulroney after the stylist was called out for allegedly racist behavior. As for the former Suits star, old castmates, she seemed to have outgrown them. We don't have her number, her on-screen boss Gina Torres admitted earlier this year. Unfulfilled promise. Their bid to be Hollywood players never panned out. Meghan's first outing for Spotify, 2022's 12-episode Archetypes, was initially a success, winning a People's Choice Award, but nothing else followed. Spotify executive and sportscaster Bill Simmons groused that the couple were effing grifters who had no idea what they were doing. Their non-royal Netflix projects like Live to Lead, featuring interviews with notable figures around the world, and the children's series Pearl, which was canceled in development, also disappointed. Meanwhile, their Archewell Fugazi public charity faced scrutiny for questionable finances and ongoing staff turnover. Meghan was called a dictator in heels. More recently, their quasi-royal tours of Nigeria and Colombia raise eyebrows as to their purpose, and Meghan's American Riviera Orchard brand became the butt of jokes. Her lifestyle TV show is still in the works, and his series on Polo is out in December. Bad rep. Tina Brown, the former editor of Vanity Fair, blames the failures on the California-born Duchess. She has the worst judgment of anyone in the entire world, the royal expert said on the Ankler podcast October 20th. She's flawless about getting it all wrong. Her issue is that she doesn't listen. She has all these people ask them their opinion and then doesn't follow it. She does what she wants to do. She's kinder to Harry, suggesting that he might be better off out shaking hands at public appearances rather than building a media empire, which is exactly the life he left behind. The thing about Harry is he's very good at being Prince Harry, Tina said. And that's the tragedy of all of this, is that he is the most talented member of the royal family, without a doubt, in terms of being a prince, which is all he does know how to do. The problem is that he's pretty much in the thrall of Meghan, Tina explained, branding him the lamb to the slaughter in this situation. He was terribly impressed by Meghan. He thought that she knew all. She persuaded him that she was the savvy Hollywood wheeler-dealer who could come in and make them stars and all the rest of it. And he just sort of blindly followed her like a child. Really. You can tell how this article is making Harry look like he's useless. Harry and Meghan haven't given up. In recent weeks, they've had some success splitting up, with Harry embarking on a widely popular trip that saw him supporting his patronages and philanthropic initiatives in NYC, London, and Lesotho, without Meghan by his side. They've also made some interesting moves, like buying a reported $4.7 million soon-to-be constructed home in Portugal's Costa Terra Golf and Ocean Club development. Harry's cousin, Princess Eugenie, and her husband live nearby. So wait a minute, now this home is not even built? Come on, Meghan. I mean, do better. Really, Meghan, do better. The purchase could offer them a path to European Union citizenship and allow them to travel freely around 29 countries. If all else fails, adds the source, it may be part of a larger plan to work themselves back into the royal fold somehow. And there it is, folks. I have no doubt in my mind that if Meghan was offered a way back into the fold, she would take it, because right now she has nothing. But that ship has sailed. Ain't no way that Meghan will ever be in the same vicinity of this family again. Maybe via the television, but that's about it. Every time the Sussex camp puts out these articles, they still haven't connected the fact that people notice they don't talk about these children. They continuously talk about these deals and the successes and the failures of Meghan and Harry, but nothing about how they're raising their children, the impact that living in America with no family is having on them. You would think, with all the stories that they keep forcing down our throats and polluting the media space with, they would make up some stories about the kids, right? They make up stories about everything else. Why would that be any different? The only thing that I can think of is maybe Meghan and Harry don't want to jeopardize the line of succession by putting out false stories to give reason for investigation. Just maybe thinking in that route. But even so, uh, right now, as it stands, they shouldn't even be in the line of succession because there's no evidence of them actually being of Meghan's body. So, you know, this is a moot point. You see what I'm saying? I don't know about you, but this charade is getting really tired. And I almost wonder if they're doing this on purpose to make us tired because when the truth finally does come out, we're going to all be like, yeah, we knew that already. Big deal. And move on to the next. Perhaps maybe they are conditioning us to not make it such a big deal because we already know the obvious. I would like to think that maybe one or two people from the palace might flip on my channel and maybe hear this message. Look, don't be afraid of being open and honest. I think the longer that the institution waits to disclose this information, the more that the British people are going to be upset and pissed off that you kept it from them. Look, I get it. I know that there's fear that a scandal like this could probably crumble and cripple the institution. I disagree on that because these globalists do whatever they want. Why would it even make a difference if they came forward and said that, these two kids shouldn't be in the line of succession because they're not from the body? You know what I mean? These globalists do whatever they want with everything else. So why would this be any different? The other thing is, look, they allowed Satan to come into the family when they knew that she was bad news, but they chose not to speak up and push back because they were afraid that this woman was going to cry racism. Well, look, she went and did it anyway. And don't think that Meghan right now has the upper hand when she feels like dropping the bomb that she used a surrogate when things are not going her way. Where will the royal family be? They'll be in reactive mode. So I think they need to take a more proactive approach with this, address it head on, and keep moving forward. The longer that this drags out, the more angry people are going to get. And I sure hope that King Charles is not going to just leave this for William to clean up. I think Charles really needs to step up and put his foot down and not have this hanging over William's head for when he takes over. Now, the other thought that I had as to why the palace has not been so transparent about these kids is possibly if there are indeed two real children that exist, it's to protect them more than anything else. And you think about it. If a scandal like this breaks out and it's exposed that Meghan lied and their mother is a see you next Tuesday, that could have a lasting effect considering that the internet is, supposedly to be forever. These children could be affected in a way that, could damage their mental health. But like when you look at all the other stuff that their mother, Meghan, has done, I don't think it's really going to be such a big deal. I think if they are thinking about it in that way, then they need to get over it and they need to come forward and tell the truth to the public. Do it now while these kids are young and don't have any kind of sense as to what's going on in the world as well as the news. Do it now as opposed to it get exposed later on when they are older and it become, even more detrimental to their mental health. You know what I mean? Just a thought. So now I want you to see the stark contrast in how they cover Catherine here in the United States. Aside from them still calling her Kate, even though this is an American tabloid, it's nice to see that Catherine's personality as well as her authenticity shine through. I think that Us Weekly did a pretty good job here at being genuine in this article. It says here, a month after announcing she's cancer free, Princess Catherine has resumed her official duties. Insiders reveal how the royals feeling behind the scenes and the big changes she's making moving forward. Princess Catherine made an unexpected but very welcome return to public duties alongside her husband, Prince William, on October 10th when the couple visited the town of Southport to show support following the July 29th attack on 3 children. As they made their way to the local community center, the pair looked more in sync than ever, with Catherine dressed in an Alexander McQueen coat and a Whistles polka dot dress, and William in a matching burgundy sweater and tie under his blazer. It was a reminder of what a powerful tag team they are, says royal expert and The King, The Life of Charles III author Christopher Anderson, noting that William looked deeply grateful to have his favorite person by his side. A month prior, Catherine, 42, released a personal video message revealing she had completed her chemotherapy treatment and was looking forward to getting back to work. True to her word, she held a meeting at Windsor Castle with a 16-year-old cancer patient on October 2nd and has added a few events, including her annual Christmas Carol service, to her calendar. Catherine loves reconnecting with the community and representing her family, but she also is trying to find a balance between her duties and personal well being, explains an insider. She appreciates the sense of purpose, but wants to ensure her stress levels don't get too high. Now she's adjusting to life after treatment in her new normal, in which she'll take on less demanding royal role as she continues to prioritize her health and spending quality time with her husband, also 42, and their children, Prince George, 11, Princess Charlotte, 9, and Prince Louis, 6. Catherine has a lot more energy than she did even a few weeks ago, Anderson tells us. She's tremendously relieved that the treatments seem to have worked and she can call herself cancer free, but she's not taking anything for granted. She's following doctor's orders, he adds, baby steps. On September 9th, 6 months after her cancer diagnosis announcement shocked the globe, Catherine released an intimate 3-minute video assuring the public she was recovering. As the summer comes to an end, I cannot tell you what a relief it is to have finally completed my chemotherapy treatments, she said, over a montage of her and William and their kids sweetly connecting in a forest, adding, in part, my path to healing and full recovery is long, and I must continue to take each day as it comes, says Anderson. More than anyone, Catherine wanted to let the world know that after months of grueling chemotherapy, she was going to be okay. While Catherine's October 10th visit to Southport alongside William was a surprise and intentionally kept low key, her decision to join was not last minute, but came down to how well she felt that day. She loves the work, but it can be tiring, says the insider, noting that Catherine is taking things day by day. The couple reportedly spent 90 minutes in private with the families of 3 young girls who lost their lives in the attack on the Taylor Swift theme holiday workshop. They also met with a dance teacher who was seriously injured and first responders who were called to the scene. The Princess of Wales broke off and came back into the building to give a hug to the people who responded because she could see the emotion in them and could see it was difficult for them to relay their feelings and to say how impactful events have been. Phil Garrigan, Chief Fire Office for Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service, explained after the engagement, according to the UK's PA Media News Agency. I think that just shows a really caring side and is very, very touching for them. Getting back into the swing of things has been a slow and steady process for Catherine. In June, she offered a health update and noted she was starting to do a little work from home when she felt up to it. Catherine has been doing this for some time, but is not yet back to full strength, says Anderson. It will be some time, certainly months, before we see her plunge headlong into a full-time schedule. A second insider says the palace has scaled things back in terms of not having her travel too much too soon. And Charles III, author Robert Hardman, tells us there's a sense of practical optimism within the firm. Catherine is certainly conscious that she mustn't overstress herself. The first insider notes that getting back out there is just as important to her healing and wellness. It's a double edged sword. Working is good for her emotional well being, but she needs to be careful not to overdo it. She is determined, motivated, and taking care of herself along the way. She will likely take on some new issues as she resumes her royal duties, including cancer research and treatment, in addition to her work with early childhood development, first responders, and mental health issues. While she won't let cancer define her, there's no doubt that she will continue to speak firsthand about what it's like to battle the disease, says Anderson. As the second insider, sharing her story has given her a lot of purpose. We will see her supporting cancer research charities more in the future. Personal priorities. As was the case before Catherine's illness, family comes first. As us previously reported, both William and Catherine did their best to maintain their usual routines with the kids around her treatment, including school runs and extracurricular activities. In her June update, Catherine called it a joy to engage with school life during her good days. William and Catherine have gone to great lengths to reassure them that all will be well, and all three children so far have proven to be incredibly adaptive, says Anderson. Their lives have really not changed much. William is relieved Catherine is out of the woods and back in the swing of things with him. Now that Catherine is resuming some of her work, William is seeing real evidence that maybe things can return to normal, says Anderson. He's happy to let her set her own pace. The kids will always be Catherine's priority, and I don't think William begrudges her at all, he adds. As a matter of fact, I think he's very grateful. He's not going to push her into doing anything she doesn't want to do, and he took the same attitude before her diagnosis. The couple's dynamic has changed over the last few months. They love being together all the time, says the first insider, and that William never takes a day for granted. He knows how much worse it could have been if they hadn't caught the cancer and treated it in time. At home, the prince has helped with cooking and cleaning. They don't like having staff around at all hours, so William has been stepping it up, adds the insider. Catherine thinks that's been very cute and sweet. It's been a doubly hard time for William behind the scenes in light of his father, King Charles III's cancer diagnosis. The second insider says Charles, who announced his illness in February, is still undergoing therapy, adding the family hopes he will be in the clear by the end of the year. Charles, 75, did a 6-day tour of Australia with his wife, Queen Camilla, 77, in mid-October. According to reports, he left a lunch in his honor after 10 minutes on October 20th. He and Catherine have leaned on each other pretty heavily, with Anderson noting they now have this special bond. Catherine remains blown away by the outpouring of love and support she's received. It gave a lot of light to her dark times, says the second insider. The experience has forever changed her outlook on life. She sees how it can change in the blink of an eye. Catherine knows the cancer could show up again, but for the moment, she's looking on the bright side, Anderson adds. She feels the cloud has been lifted, and she's excited about the future. You know, as I'm reading this, I almost wonder if the palace did this to make the point of the contrast between the positivity that Catherine's bringing despite all the adversity that she has faced. She's got a solid family. She puts her children first. Notice how they talk about these children with Catherine and William and how the children are the focus of their life. Very different to what we're seeing with Meghan and Harry. This might send Meghan over the edge because this is Us Weekly. It is the actual tabloid that Meghan wants to be in, but now she has to resort to like Star Magazine and the Globe and the National Enquirer, and the way that they did this article, it is very uplifting. It's very positive. None of this negative crap that we see with Meghan week after week after week. Go suck some lemons, Meghan, because you'll never be able to compete with this. Obviously, there's something going on because this is just too much. I mean, this week alone, there's like 4 articles of where Meghan is on the cover of these tabloid magazines. And to think that Meghan didn't know that we had tabloids here in the United States, shut up, Meghan. Just shut up. In any case, what do you guys think? What is really going on here? Is Meghan unraveling in front of our eyes? I think so. Definitely leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back with more content, but until then, please be safe and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Such a fraud.